Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Ashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtiki. Continuing with the discussion, Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 2. So we'll start from text 14 onwards today. So yesterday we studied, Sudha Goswami was saying, Atah Bambir Dvichreshta Varnasham Vibhagisha Sunishthitasya Dharmasya Sansiddhir Hari Toshanam. Means the perfection of being situated in Varnashram Dharma, or perfection of doing our occupational duty, is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead completely. Now, how to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead? This is what is explained in these shlokas. Tasmadekena manasa bhagavan satpatam patihi shrotavya kirtitavyascha dhyeya pujaschya nityadam. Therefore, with one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of Godhead, who is the protector of the devotees. And it is said Nityada. Nityada means constantly, always, not once in a while. And what to do, how to please him? Hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of Godhead, who is the protector of the devotees. The word for Krishna, it came here is Bhagwan Satvatam Patihi. Bhagwan is personality of Godhead, but he is Satvatam Patihi, means he is the protector of his devotees. If we ever think that if I just spend my time completely absorbed in glorifying, remembering, hearing, and worshipping him, what will happen to my rest of the activities, rest of the duties? But Krishna's name is Satatampati. He is a protector of his devotees. He will definitely protect his devotees. Of course, protection of devotees does not mean that he will necessarily protect the body of the devotees. Means, for example, in the battle of Mahabharata, Abhimanyu died. Abhimanyu was a nephew of Krishna, but he got killed in the battle. So sometimes people say, so Krishna did not protect Abhimanyu. Well, Abhimanyu was protected in the sense that his consciousness was protected, and he had to play a role in the battle, and that's what his role was. Or on the other hand, if you think of Prahlad Maharaj, was Prahlad Maharaj protected? Yes, he was protected by Nrsimhadev. But just for example, when Hiranyakashipu told his soldiers to throw Prahlad Maharaj from the top of a mountain. So suppose the mountain hill was maybe, say, just for example, say 1,000 feet high. So when Prahlad Maharaj was thrown from the top of the mountain, Krishna or Nrsimhadev did not protect him for first feet, 10 feet, 20 feet, 100 feet, 200 feet, 900 feet. He protected him at the bottom of the mountain. He let him fall for 999 feet, and then he saved him there. So it's not like devotees will be protected right away if they are in trouble or anything else happens. No. Krishna will still not test the devotees, or he wants to actually glorify the devotees, that even if they are in trouble, they don't leave me, and I will not leave them either. I'll always protect them. But the protection and kind of protection, type of protection, amount of protection, Krishna will decide. We cannot decide that. But one thing for sure is the consciousness of the devotees will be protected. Means they will remain Krishna conscious. Even if they are attacked by Maya, okay, for some time they can be overpowered by Maya for time being. Just for example of Bharat Maharaj. Bharat Maharaj came in contact with the deer, and he wanted to protect the deer, but his consciousness became of that, because he was always thinking of that deer. He forgot this process of hearing, glorifying, remembering, worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So yes, for one lifetime he had to live as a deer, but his consciousness was so protected that even in the body of a deer, he would only go to the ashram of all these sages, where Krishna Katha was going on. So one thing for sure we have to understand, Krishna will definitely protect his devotees. This is something, rest, everything can happen in the world except that Krishna will not protect us. Krishna will definitely, for sure, protect his devotees. We'll have Ram Navami in 2 days. Ravan was a big devotee of Shiva. What happened in the end? Even Shivji told him, I cannot protect you because Ram had decided to kill you. It means Krishna, Ram, same thing. They will always, no matter what, they will protect their devotees. But have you ever heard of anything happening to a devotee of Krishna or Ram? No. They will protect. So that's why Krishna's name here, Sudha Goswami is saying, he is Sattvatam Vati. He is a protector of his devotees. He will always. Otherwise, all the scriptures will go wrong. Because in Bhagavatam only this verse comes when during the incident of Ambarish Maharaj and Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni went all over the universe. He went to the Vaikuntha, and Vishnuji said, Sadhu hirdayam mayam, sadhu nam hirdayam toham. Madanya tena janati, naham tebhe managati. Means sadhu means my devotees. Devotees live in my heart and I live in their heart. They don't know anything except me and I don't know anything except them. Means he will always protect his devotees. But as I said, the amount of protection, the kind of protection, that depends on Krishna. If he wants to teach his devotee a lesson, it's up to him. If he wants to teach through his devotees a lesson to the society, it's up to him. But he will always protect. Even in Bhagavad Gita, the shloka comes, where he says, Yoga Kshemam Mahamyam. I will always protect my devotee. I personally carry what they have, and I preserve what they have, and I personally carry what they lack. That's a guarantee of Krishna. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, towards the end, that in the middle, especially in modern society, all activities are more or less dependent on hearing and glorifying. Any man from any social status becomes a well-known man in human society within a very short time if he is simply glorified, truly or falsely, in the daily newspapers. Sometimes political leaders of a particular party are also advertised by newspaper propaganda. And by such a method of glorification, an insignificant man becomes an important man within no time. But such propaganda by false glorification of an unqualified person cannot bring about any good, either for the particular man or for the society. Therefore, such activities are just a waste of time. The actual object of glorification is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has created everything manifested before us. The tendency to glorify others or hear others must be turned to the real object of glorification, the Supreme Being, and that will bring happiness. And that will bring happiness if we glorify the Supreme Lord. Of course, the Supreme Lord also means the creation of the Supreme Lord or the devotees of the Supreme Lord. So glorifying a devotee is also because that pleases Krishna. So he loves to hear the glories of his devotees. So that also is helpful. But other than that, if we try to glorify others, that will not be a good idea, and it will not help us in any way. Text 15. Yad anudhyasina yukta karma granthi nibandhanam chindanti ko vidastasya ko na kuryat katharatim. With sword in hand, intelligent men cut through the binding knots of reactionary work, karma, by remembering the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not pay attention to his message? See, by remembering the personality of Godhead, remembering Krishna, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's devotees, one can cut through the binding knots of karma. So important. Like Krishna also says in the end, towards the end of Bhagavad Gita, that one who surrenders unto me, I take care of all his sinful reactions. Do not worry. So sinful reactions, Krishna says, I take care. I just remove all the sinful reactions. Prabhupada says in the purport, the contact of the spiritual spark with material elements creates a knot which must be cut if one wants to be liberated from the actions and reactions of fruitive work. Liberation means freedom from the cycle of reactionary work. This liberation automatically follows for one who constantly remembers the transcendental pastimes of the personality of Godhead. Means the cycle of reactionary work stops right there when one is constantly remembering the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's so simple. This is because all the activities of the Supreme Lord are transcendental to the modes of material energy. They're all attractive spiritual activities, and therefore constant association with the spiritual activities of the Supreme Lord gradually spiritualizes the conditioned soul and ultimately severs the knot of material bondage. So very important for us to remember that. By constantly remembering, hearing, talking about, glorifying the Lord, our karma, our karmic reactions, they also get wiped out. In fact, in Nectar of Devotion, it is said that all our reactions like prarabdh, aprarabdh, bij and kut, all kinds of karmic reactions are burnt to ashes when we are engaged in devotion service. And Krishna says that surrender unto me. He says clearly says in Bhagavad Gita, just surrender unto me and I'll take care of all the reactions. Do not worry. Liberation from material bondage is therefore a byproduct of devotion service. So it's just a byproduct. And sometimes it's a very insignificant byproduct of bhakti. Because a real goal or real result of bhakti is to attain Krishna Prema, to attain the spiritual world, Golok Vrindavan, where we live with Krishna in full prema of Krishna and his devotees in service. Attainment of spiritual knowledge is not sufficient to ensure liberation. Such knowledge must be overcoated with devotion service, so that ultimately the devotion service alone predominates. Then liberation is made possible. Even the reactionary work of the fruitive workers can lead one to liberation when it is overcoated with devotional service. And devotional service in this day and age, basically, as mentioned by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is Harer Nam, Harer Nam, Harer Nam Kevalam. Just chanting of the holy name, chanting of the holy name, chanting of the holy names. Pure bhakti is independent of such karma and jnana because it alone can not only endow one with liberation from conditioned life, but also award one the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So bhakti takes us even beyond karma and jnana. That's why Prabhupada is writing. Therefore, any sensible man who's above the average man with a poor fund of knowledge must constantly remember the personality of Godhead by hearing about him, by glorifying him, by remembering him, and by worshipping him always without cessation. So the word has come here, nityada, always. That is a perfect way of devotional service. Though Goswamis of Vrindavan, who were authorized by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to preach the bhakti cult, rigidly followed this rule and made immense literatures of transcendental science for our benefit. They have chalked out ways for all classes of men in terms of the different castes and orders of life, means different varnashram, in pursuance of teachings of Bhagavatam and other scriptures. So we have to mold our life, we have to mold our day-to-day activities in such a way that we can always remember Krishna. That's all. So we have to try to see Krishna everywhere. We have to try to see hand of Krishna everywhere. No matter what happens in our life, we have to try to see Krishna's hand in there. Then we'll remember Krishna, and not just try to see Krishna's hand, try to see Krishna's hand favorably. That is bhakti. That, okay, if something apparently, materially goes wrong in my life, I should be seeing Krishna's hand in this favorably, that Krishna is my well-wisher. Krishna is my well-wishing friend. He's my, or if somebody is even some other mood with Krishna, Krishna is my baby, Krishna is my friend, Krishna is my lover, Krishna is my master, and he's my loving, favorable master. He will not let anything go wrong in my life. He will not act in any way that will be detrimental to me. So even a thought like this, it is bhakti. We are still remembering Krishna. Okay, things can go up and down, no problem. Krishna can do whatever he wants. But if we are still favorably thinking that way, then Krishna gets pleased. And that is bhakti. And that removes any karmic reactions we might have, or even it can reduce the karmic reaction also. Many times people say, oh, karma cannot be removed, karma cannot be taken away by anything, anybody. Only you have to do it by service or by charity or something else. Yes, that way also, but that way we are bound by more karmic reactions for future lives. If we are engaged in devotion service, then all the karmic reactions, they are burnt to ashes. Even Brahma Samhita says, Karmani nirdhati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. Only by bhakti, all the karmas can be burnt to ashes. Karma, karmic reactions, everything. But all these reactions can be burnt to ashes only by the kind of bhakti that we're performing, kind of chanting. If we are just chanting at the Nam Aparad stage, then it will take a long time. Nam Abha stage, the byproduct of Nam Abha stage is one can get liberation. If he does the Nam Abha stage also properly. But we have to try to come to the level of Shuddha Nam stage of pure devotion service, pure bhakti. But that stage will come when we sincerely keep on performing, keep on making progress on the path of bhakti. Here, whatever we are doing. But at the same time, then we are trying to purify our consciousness by trying to see Krishna's hand everywhere, no matter what happens in my life. Then we make progress. So text 16, and how to develop this taste of in chanting and hearing, worshipping, remembering Krishna is mentioned in this verse. Shushrusha Shadadhanasya Vasudev Katharuchihi Syan Mahat Sevya Vipraha Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. O twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. So, how to gain affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva is by serving those devotees who are completely free from all vices, all faults. Means by serving devotees of Krishna. The servants of God are to be respected as God by the devotees who actually want to go back to Godhead. Such servants of God are called Mahatmas or Tirthas, and they preach according to particular time and place. The servants of God urge people to become devotees of the Lord. They never tolerate being called God. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was God himself according to the indication of the revealed scriptures. But he played the part of a devotee. People who knew him to be God addressed him as God, but he used to block his ears with his hands and chant the name of Lord Vishnu. He strongly protested against being called God. So servants of God come to propagate God consciousness, and intelligent people should cooperate with them in every respect. By serving the servant of God, one can please God more than by directly serving the Lord. Just like the other day when we were discussing, if we water the root of the tree, automatically the water goes to all the branches, all the leaves, all the twigs, all the fruits, all the flowers of that tree. It automatically goes there. But the watering process to the root of the tree is, in practical sense also we can see, we don't really water the root directly. We put the water on the soil that is on the root of the tree. So the soil or the dirt on the root of the tree is compared to the devotees at the lotus feet of the Lord. When they receive our service, then then Krishna gets pleased, and when Krishna gets pleased, the whole universe can get pleased. So the real real path of pleasing Krishna is by pleasing his devotees, serving his devotees. And when we serve the devotees of Krishna, then we get this affinity, then we get this inclination to hear and chant and remember and worship Krishna, to hear the names of Krishna, to chant the names of Krishna. It can only happen by the mercy of the devotees. In fact, in Nectar of Devotion, it's also mentioned that one does not get bhakti by serving Krishna. Krishna never gives bhakti. It's the devotees of Krishna who are so magnanimous, who are so powerful, they're so compassionate. They give bhakti to a person, and when they give bhakti, when they engage somebody in devotion service, Krishna gets obliged. He gets so obliged, he gets so pleased that he has to engage the other person in his service. Because Krishna loves his devotees. He is controlled by his devotees. Although Krishna is in first verse of Bhagavatam, Krishna is called Swarat or independent. Krishna is completely independent. But when we read the other devotional literatures, we can see Krishna is not independent. He is completely controlled by his devotees. He cannot act independently. Krishna is called Rishikesh. We are studying in Bhagavad Gita the names of Krishna. One name is Rishikesh. Rishikesh means he is a controller of the senses of the devotees. He completely controls the senses of his devotees. Yes, great. But on top of it, devotees control the senses of Krishna. Because they try to please him. They try to serve him. So they control the senses of Krishna. So it is said, devotees are more powerful than Krishna. Of course, the power comes from Krishna because they are lovingly engaged in the service of Krishna. But they are more powerful because devotees can give bhakti to anybody. and Krishna has to oblige. Krishna cannot go away from it, cannot go against the will of a devotee. So by serving the devotees, we get this affinity to hear about, remember Krishna's name, Krishna's form, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's glorification. That's a process. And that's nicely given in this verse. So I'll stop here, ask anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mate.
Yes,
I'm okay.
I wanted to know, I was reading this 13th shloka.
Okay.
There is written that, the जीवन के चार आश्रम हैं, इनमें नाम है विद्यार्थी, ग्रस्त, वानप्रस्थ and भक्त. Why the भक्त जीवन is in the last?
Sannyas is last, no?
No,
Brahmacharya, Grahast,
Vanprasth and Bhakti Jivan is in the last. So I just wanted to know why the Bhakti Jivan is in the last. This is
student life, householder's life, retired, and the devotional life.
Why the devotional life is in the last?
I think what actually in Varnashram is the sannyas ashram is the last. Devotional life can go on in any part. And as a student also, as householder, retired as sannyasi also can be a devotee. I think what he meant was the sannyas life, sannyas ashram.
Okay.
Thank you for pointing it out.
No. I was just reading. I said, why the Bhakti Jivan is in the last? Where it should be the priority,
Yeah. It should say the sannyas life. I don't know.
Acha, okay. And the second one is that, how to surrender, like surrender, what is the procedure of when Krishna says surrender to me, so that, is this the same process, bhakti is the surrendering?
Oh, but first of all, we have to understand what is surrender.
Yes.
So surrender means we become more conducive as a conductor to his instructions. Without the more resistance we have inside means we are less conductor. Just like in a wire, electrical wire, current flows properly because there is no resistance or less resistance. In like a copper wire, there's less resistance, and we have seen in like silver wire, there's even least resistance. In copper, there's still some resistance, and that's when the wire gets heated, when the current flows. Less resistance means no heat. So same thing in us, we have the resistance of our desires, resistance of our egoistic conditional life, resistance of our own thoughts, that like Krishna is saying, Sarv Dharman Pariteja, Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, that is full surrender. But we have our own thoughts, we have our own desires, we have our conditioning. So we don't fully surrender. We have some other things to do. Slowly, little bit we surrender. So that's what it is. Surrender means to follow the instructions of Krishna 100%.
Okay.
As it is, without change, without any motivation, without any adulteration, without anything else.
Okay.
Instructions of Krishna come through his devotees, gurus. So when we add our thing to it, then means we are not fully surrendered. Okay, because the surrender process is also not, it's like one night we sleep and morning we get up and we are fully surrendered. It's not going to happen like that. It's a gradual process. So Krishna, when he says, chant my name, we try to chant his name. We are sincerely struggling to chant his name. We're trying to serve him. We're trying to glorify him. We're trying to remember him. So if we do it fully, completely, surrendered way, then we can do it always. because we are not fully surrendered. So sometimes we do, and sometimes we forget. So we are trying to get into the process. So more and more we are trying to get into this process. Means more and more we are trying to surrender. That's all. It takes time. It takes time.
Okay.
Because we have so many resistances inside us.
Yes, we do have.
Yeah, that's okay. It's with everybody.
So many, unlimited.
Yeah.
Unlimited.
But the process has started. That's all.
Okay.
And that's a good part.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I have a doubt. Prabhuji.
Yes, Mata.
He kind of frees us from the prarabdha and kut something. So I didn't understand those three things. I mean, prarabdha, what I know is previous births, karmas. But what does aprarabdha and the other one mean actually?
Prarabdha means one that is already manifested, that we are suffering right now. Aprarabdha means it hasn't manifested yet. It is still in some hidden form, dormant. Bij is a seed form. Seed form means it's as a desire, it's still there, and it will come up later on. And kuta is like it's beginning to sprout. It hasn't come up yet. It just like if you put a seed in the ground, when it sprouts and it becomes a plant, then we see it. So kuta means it is beginning to sprout. It will come up slowly. So these four categories are given of karma.
Okay.
Of course, nectar of devotion, it's more explained in a detailed way.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mata. So should we stop here?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
I experienced a lot of audio disturbance in this lecture. Is it true with me only, or other devotees also felt the same?
Yes, Prabhuji, there are network issues always. I also constantly face that.
Your voice was cracking up most of the time, and I have not been able to hear the full lecture at all.
Oh.
And then, is it true? I only or somebody else experienced the kind of problems.
Hare Krishna, I think this is because we are traveling.
Yes.
So I don't think it is because of from Vridupir Prabhu's side, because he is sitting in one place and we are traveling. So in between we get network issues.
But Ashok Prabhu is at his house. So
Oh, okay.
There is a disturbance in the audio today.
Let me stop the recording.
I must have hardly